Hi, my name's Pharaoh and welcome to another tip for the day video. And today I'm taking a closer look at scaling. And I've been working on a longer term project to be able to scale anything to any specific size we ever want. And while doing that, I came across a very useful property so I can calibrate that system, which is using wooden pallets, which we otherwise tend to ignore in the menu unless we specifically want that kind of pallet look. But the wooden pallet has a unique property, and it's to do with those little round marks on the top. Let's take a closer look. What I noticed when messing around with different part sizes was that the pallet has a unique property. If I position a normal one and then position two on top, and then I scale one all the way up, when I overlap it, you can see that those little round points, the bolts that hold it together, or the rivets or whatever they are, they come through, but the rest of the texture doesn't when it's overlapping. And that corner comes through as well slightly. But the rest of the texture doesn't, which gives us an idea of exactly how to scale something at different sizes. So for instance, if we scale it down, here we have a pile of 3 of them. And then if we scale again, and we just get it to that point where we're only seeing the little round spots, it can be a bit tricky. Now, this pallet is exactly the size of 3 small pallets, and the size of 4 fully reduced pallets. If we put one on top here, is the same size as a normal pallet. So that previous pallet that we created that just broke the surface of 3 pallets was 3/4 size. And this gives us the ability to scale to any quarter size. So for instance, if we make a pile of 12, and then scale one all the way to max, it again just shows through, meaning that we could divide this pallet size up into 12 specific gradations. So we could make one that was only 11 pallets high, which would be exactly 2 3/4 as big as a normal pallet, because each of these represents a quarter, and we now have 11, and 11/4 is 2 3/4. So we now can scale anything from a quarter of the size in quarter gradients all the way up to 3 times the size very quickly and easily. So let's say we wanted a wall, but we wanted it 3/4 high. Then what we would do is we would make a little stack of 3 of these, scale down a normal one to just the right height, position it, grab a wall, place it in the cache for a universal adjacency glitch, select a crate, let's just position it roughly in front, and then glitch back to the wall. And there we have a 3/4 height wall and we can test that height by placing a wall on top of it. And we can see within pretty good tolerances that those walls are pretty much the same height. There's a very, very slight margin of difference, but that could even be the model. And there may be a very slight variation of difference where when we're positioning this, there may be more than one spot where that shows through and the rest of the texture doesn't. But it's very, very close, and certainly close enough for most builds. So there you go, a useful tool to allow us to scale things to a pretty precise size, from anything from a quarter size all the way up to 3 times the size in quarter gradients. I've been Pharaoh, and I'll see you soon for another Tip for the Day video. Goodbye.